Hey everybody, this is Neil in the Advanced Squad Leader Academy studio, bringing you another boot camp episode. This time, part 5 of our 2-hit and 2-kill process. As always, down below, use the timestamps, the chapter timestamps, to jump to the topics of interest. And with that, let's get rolling. The first thing I want to start with here is an example requested by, I think, Carlo with a Q, asking how do you resolve two hit, two kill versus an unarmored target, which I didn't really talk about in any of my previous part 1 through 4 videos, but I'm going to do a quick example here. Very simple. There are basically 3 ways you can affect an unarmored target. Infantry fire table, firing on it with small arms, and then two hit using armor piercing or HE. The infantry fire table one is very simple. Let's say we have this German truck coming down the road. Why a player would choose to drive a German truck potentially loaded up with infantry or towing a gun into the teeth of this American fire. Why they would do that, I don't know, because unarmored targets are extremely vulnerable to any type of fire. But we're going to do it here just for the sake of example. So they're going to come down the road here, and at this point they come into line of sight of this American unit with a medium machine gun and an 8-1 liter. But they're going to wait. They're going to wait until they get from behind the hedge and get to there. Now the truck is in both line of sight of this anti-tank gun and this squad with a medium machine gun, and it is about to get lit up hardcore. So let's start with the infantry. Like I said just a second ago, um, unarmored targets extremely susceptible to any type of fire. Very easy to kill them with using small arms on the infantry fire table. This is a unarmored target denoted by the 2 stars, so it has no armor anywhere, not on the front, side, or rear. It's just a truck with some dude going down the road, potentially with units in the back. So to fire on it, infantry fire table is very easy. You just look up your firepower. In this case, we have squad medium machine gun, 10 firepower, goes down to the 8 column on the infantry fire table. And there's this line here with a star on it, and it'll be on your version of the infantry fire table. This is my custom version I created for Vassal, but it's on all the versions. Um, I'm not sure it's on the starter kit version. It's been a while since I played starter kit. I don't know if they have unarmored targets in starter kit. If you know or remember, post down below and let us know. But on the full ASL, it's on whatever charts you're using. There's a star row here, and we're at 8 firepower, so there's a 7 here. Basically, that means all this unit has to do with 8 firepower is roll a 7 or less, and that truck is destroyed. That's it. If I roll a 7, the truck is immobilized. If I roll 6 or less, it's destroyed. If I roll less than equal to half of 7, in other words, a 3 or less, it's a burning wreck, and there's no chance for any passengers to survive. Let's roll it up and see what we get. We have a -1 modifier for the leader, so we need a essentially 8 firepower, need a 7 base on an unarmored vehicle. We need an 8 with the 8-1 leader. And we rolled a 9, so we did not destroy the vehicle with the small arms fire. So let's mark that as first fired. They cannot fire again unless the truck moves. Maybe I'll move it here in a second. Now let's do the anti-tank gun. There are 2 ways to fire with this anti-tank gun. It has both HE and AP. So the hits process is exactly the same. So all the fire-based arrow modifiers apply just like normal, and so do the target-based 2-hit modifiers and the 2-hit numbers. Everything 2-hit versus a vehicle is the same, whether it's armored, unarmored, what have you. As long as it's moving and it's a vehicle, the 2-hit process is the same. But the 2-kill process is different. Let's go to the 2-kill table. Let's say we fired armor piercing, which is this top section here. If we fired armor-piercing ammo, there's a row down here that says AP versus unarmored targets. The final kill number is doubled if it's a critical hit, as usual. And then there are different sizes of guns here. So it says here, infantry fire equivalent or machine gun up to 15 millimeters. Use the star line on the infantry fire table, which is what we just did. But we're firing a gun, so we need to go up to right here. 65 to 84 millimeter. The 2 kill number is a 9. If you fire AP. Now, what happens if you fire HE at it? Let's go over to the HE 2 kill, and you see here HE versus unarmored target. Sorry, down here that's heat. HE and flame. Unarmored target. So we go over to 70 plus millimeter. It's a 12, and again doubled if it's a critical hit. So essentially, whenever you have a gun and you're firing at an unarmored target, if you have the choice of using HE versus AP, you would almost always use HE. An AP round may hit the truck. It may just very well, unless you hit the engine compartment with the engine and the driver, or maybe the transmission. It's probably just going to go right through it and not do a lot of damage. HE, on the other hand, if you just hit it anywhere, and it's probably going to go up in a ball of wreckage. So in this case, if we get a hit with this 76L firing HE, we need a 12 to kill, and that's what we're going to do. So let's look at the 2 hit. So he expended, couldn't see him here. I don't think I could see him there. Nope, can't see him there. But I could see him here and here. Just go back up a little bit. So he expended 2 movement points in my line of sight. 1, 2. That's when he first came into the line of sight of the gun. So if we look at the firer-based gyro modifiers, there are none. I don't have to change covered arc. Unit's not pinned. Pretty much not buttoned up, obviously. No firer-based 2-hit modifiers. Not intensive firing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Target-based modifier. It's moving. The truck is moving +2, and it only spent 2 movement points in my line of sight, and that's going to be case J1. It says here, defensive first fire versus moving vehicle target 1.5 to 3 movement points in the fire's line of sight. So that's going to be case J, which is +2, and then it's going to be an additional +1. So it's going to be a +3. There is no size modifier. There's no hindrances between us. There's no TEM. So it's going to be a +3 to hit. The base on a vehicle, we're going to just use the black numbers are the same. It's going to be a 10. I need to roll a final die roll of a 10. There's no range modifiers. And I'm going to add 3 to the dice. Losing my voice. Let's do a 2 hit here. And we hit it. 6 plus 3 for a moving target is 9. That's less than or equal to the 2 hit number. We hit it. All we need to do is roll a 12 or less. But if we do roll a 12, that is a dud. Let's roll the 2 kill. 3% chance. It's toast. Now, the final 2 kill number is less than or equal to half of the needed 2 kill number, which was a 12. There's no hitting it in the turret or hull on vehicles like this. There's either front, side, or rear. I hit it in the front here. It doesn't matter. It's all unarmored everywhere. I rolled less than equal to half, so this becomes a burning wreck. And there is no crew survival for trucks. There's no inherent crew. There's just one dude driving it. But if there were any passengers, they would die in this case. There's no chance for survival because it goes up in a ball of flame from this 76L. Now let's say the anti-tank gun missed and the truck goes, oh crap, I'm in a world of hurt here. And he goes to this hex here. I can do subsequent first fire here with the machine gun. It's going to be 10 firepower down to 5. Half is going to be 4 on the infantry fire table, 4 firepower. You see now I need a 5 on the unarmored target, and then a -1 for the leader. So let's roll, assuming the truck keeps going and was not killed previously. We roll, do not kill it, or final fired. I didn't get rate on the gun, so he was marked. Uh, he could intensive fire. I'm going to mark him final fire, but he could theoretically intensive fire. And potentially the truck could drive on, but he got hit with HE here and R2, and what happened is wreck, and it's a burning wreck, no chance of passenger survival. So that's how you do um, 2 kill on an unarmored target using infantry fire table, small arms, infantry fire equivalent, and 2 hit process using HE. The AP is exactly the same. We would have gotten hit exactly the same 2 hit process, and if I remember, the 2 kill was a 9 on AP for that. Yeah, it was a 9. We still would have killed it because we rolled a 6, but there's a higher chance of killing unarmored targets using HE. All right, let's go on to example number 2. This example is from the Niskimi-Biscari Highway, and it involves a hidden captured Italian gun versus a German armored car just coming out of bypass, moving into a bore-sided hex. Starter kit does not have bypass. Pretty simple. It's not being shot in bypass. It's being shot after it comes out of bypass, so you don't really have to worry about it. And starter kit does not have bore sighting. Bore sighting just lets you pre-designate a hex ahead of time. That gives you a bonus on the 2 hit if a unit happens to move through it. And there's a tactical tip talking about bore sighting. Just search the channel and it'll pop up and you can watch it. Let's go ahead and step through and see what happens here. So yeah, the armored car is just, it's the beginning of the Germans' movement phase. I don't believe the armored car was in motion. It probably spends 1 to start, 1 to change covered arc, um, 6 more to bypass that hex side, double 3 movement points. Armored car costs 3 movement points in open ground, so that's 6 more, so that's 8 total in my line of sight of the Italian gun, captured gun down here. And then he moves into the bore-sided hex for a total of 9 movement points. So plenty of movement points for me to have an opportunity to take a shot and to negate any limited aim penalties. Specifically, I think J1 and J2 to hit modifiers because he spent so many movement points in my line of sight. So I'm probably going to take a shot here if I remember right. Gun probably may not have been revealed. It pops up here so you can see it. It's an Italian 47 millimeter with an American crew, and they take a shot. Oh, I show the bore sighting counter for Scott, my opponent, and then they take a shot. And I roll 4, really good roll. I'm sure that's a hit. Well, I remember it is a hit. And I got a 1, which maintains rate of fire. Even though it's captured and has a lowered rate of fire, it still maintains rate of fire. So let's look at the 2 hit modifiers. So we're at a range of 6, right in the sweet spot, 0 to 6. So we need a 10, a base of 10. Doesn't matter if it's red or the black numbers. I believe captured uses red, but it doesn't matter in this case. Need a base of 10 to hit. Fire-based modifiers, the only one I believe there is captured use, which is H. And that's a +2 modifier. Target-based, it's moving, so that's another +2, so +4 total. And then defensive first fire versus a moving target that spent 1.5 to 3 movement points in your line of sight, +1, another +1. And then if it spent less than 1, less than equal to 1, well, it spent well over 3. So J1 and J2 don't apply. We just have case J. It's just moving. It's been in our line of sight enough so it negates J1 and J2. No, bore sighted location, -2. and not acquired yet. And there's no size modifier, there's no terrain effect modifier, and there's no hindrance between the firing hex and the target hex. It's clear. So basically, we have captured use +2, bore sighting -2. Those two cancel, and what we have left is +2 for moving. Plenty in my line of sight, so just a +2. So we add +2 to the 4, we have a 6. That is less than 10. Solid hit on the turret. The red die is less than the white die. Let's look at the kill numbers real quick. 47 millimeter against a front armor factor of 3. So go to the 2 kill table. We look up 47, not the 47 star, which is short barrel, not a 47L, which is long barrel. This is a straight 47 millimeter. The basic 2 kill number is 10, and there's no range modifier. We're at 3 to 6, and we're at 37 to 57 millimeter. There's another 0 adder to that. So the basic 2 kill number is 10. Subtract 3, the armor factor, from the basic 2 kill or the modified 2 kill number. We just modified it by 0, and we have a 2 kill number of 7. So let's make the 2 kill roll, and we roll an 8. Now you might think that's no result, but in some situations, when you are equal to the exact kill number you need, even one greater than, you can have an effect, and there is an effect here. So let's go to the destruction table. So I got a hit. I rolled a 2 kill. It's close to the final 2 kill number needed. So let's double check the destruction table. Maybe something happened. So we come down here, we look final effects die roll, and we're using direct fire. And we rolled, so this shows you like less than half of the final 2 kill number, um, less than, equal to, and then HE and non-HE. We're in the non-HE. We're firing AP, armor piercing, and we rolled 1 greater than the final 2 kill number. We needed 7. We rolled an 8. That's a possible shock. What that means is the crew of the armored car needs to take a task check, and they have a morale level of 8 in this case. So Scott, my opponent, makes a morale check or a task check, rolls an 8, and he passes, and he's good to go. But he spent 3 movement factors for an armored car in open ground in that hex, and I maintain rate of fire. So I am going to take another shot, but I'm acquired at -1. So now I need a 9 to hit. I needed an 8 to hit before with the modifiers. This essentially brings it up. The die roll, I need to roll a 9, or I will miss. So let's see what I rolled. Probably a good chance I will get a hit. And I got a solid hit. Didn't get rate of fire. Hit the armored car in the hull this time. Same 2 kill calculation. Gun has a 2 kill of 10 against an armor factor of 3 on the front. So I basically need a 7. And let's see what I roll. I roll a 5. The armor car is taken out. -2, technically the -2 acquisition remains in that hex. Nothing else is going to move through there anyway. And the gun is marked with a final fire counter because I lost rate of fire. Okay, let's very simple example. 1 gun, 1 moving armored car. You can ignore the bypass part of it because they're fired in an open ground hex. Let's move on to the next example. All right, this next example is from the scenario Adolf's Amateurs from Best of Friends. We recently finished it, so I thought I would use it as an example of light mortar fire against a moving German squad. So here is my mortar. Here is the German squad. It is the German's movement phase, and there is an acquired bridge hex here that he is going to try to move across. And I believe he uses assault movement here to move into that hex. So let's forward the log file. There he goes. He assault moves into that hex. And I start checking things. I declare a shot and I start checking things like line of sight. And you can see the line of sight here goes right between these 2 brush hexes. So there are no hindrances. But it does clip, you can't see it here, but it does clip the bridge depiction. Okay. So let's look at the modifiers for this shot. To hit. There are really no firer-based modifiers. There's no, I'm just firing. I'm not CE or CX or pin or anything like that, but there are target-based fire modifiers. There are no hindrances. We just checked that. There is a not a +1 TEM on the to hit because you don't use TEM on the to hit die roll using area target type. There will be a +1 on the TEM for the resolution because of the bridge hex, but crossing the depiction negates moving in the open. So basically, they're running across a bridge, and it goes across the bridge depiction, and it kind of hinders their line of sight and negates first fire moving in the open. But they are they are assault moving into this hex. So the hex is acquired. It's a -1 acquisition. So there's no moving in the open. That gets negated by the bridge outline. There's no non-assault movement, and there is a -1 for acquisition. So essentially, there is a -1 modifier here, and we need a 7 on the area target type. Mortars always use the area target type. And let's progress the log file and see what I roll. Probably checking the bridge depiction there. I roll a 7. Red number is a 1. My rate of fire is a 3, so the mortar maintains rate of fire. And that is a hit. It was a -1. So 7 minus 1 is a 6. I needed a 7, and that is a hit. Let's go to the resolution. It's a 50 millimeter mortar here. But remember, area firepower is always half of that. So the infantry fire table would have been 6. It's actually 3. There is no 3 column, so it goes down to 2. And there's going to be a +1 for the bridge TEM because it does hit the bridge depiction. If it went straight down this road, for example, and didn't hit the bridge depiction, there would have been no +1 on this resolution, and there would have been a moving in the open modifier on the 2-hit die roll. Okay, let's see what I rolled for the resolution. I rolled a 5. We add 1 for the bridge TEM. We end up with a 6 on a 2 firepower column, and that is a pin check. And let's see what the Germans rolled. They rolled a 5. They easily passed their pin check. Now, even though the assault moved, it only costs 1 to go into that hex. I have rate of fire. I cannot fire again during movement. I can reserve that rate of fire for defensive final fire, which is what I'm going to do. So, okay, defensive first fire is over, and it is now defensive final fire, and I have rate of fire on the mortar, so I'm gonna fire again. I'm going to fire at the same hex because it's acquired. And I think I need, what was it? -2 for acquired. They're no longer, there's no movement or anything. So a base of 9. Sorry, a base of 7 for area target type. -2. I think I need a 9 again. Not going to roll. I'm going to do the log file. Oh, I got a critical hit. Yeah, nice. Okay. What happens on a critical hit is there's only one unit in the hex, so you don't have to do random selection. Normally, with a critical hit, you can only affect one unit in that location or hex in the case of starter kit. This unit is going to get hit with 12 firepower, so the 50 millimeter 6 firepower doubles to 12. And there's a +1 TEM for the bridge. That gets reversed on a critical hit. So it's going to be a 12 firepower attack with a -1 die roll modifier. And I rolled, oh wow, a 4. So it's a 3 on the 12 firepower. That is a K/3. So the squad is casualty reduced. Yep, casualty reduced to half squad. Takes a morale check. Fails a morale check. That's probably failure of ELR as well. I don't know if ELR was, it probably was. I don't know if it was put in place here. Okay, I took care of that unit, but I still had rate of fire. I got snake eyes. It's off the the die roll section here, but I got snake eyes. I got rate of fire. Okay, I took care of that unit. Well, the only thing I can really see are these guys here. So I'm going to switch over to them. I'm going to fire at them. I lose acquisition because I'm switching targets. There's no hindrances. It goes right, again, between these brush hexes. There's no TEM involved. There's no movement involved. I need a straight 7 to hit. Switching over to these guys in the open. And I roll. I'm checking line of sight here. I roll a 6. Again, got rate of fire. Got a hit. It's going to be a 2 firepower attack, even, no terrain effect modifier. And I roll a 7 on a 2. That's nothing, but I can fire again, this time with a -1 acquisition. Basically need an 8 to hit. I hit, got rate of fire again. Infantry fire table resolution, 2 even, a 7 on a 2. Again is nothing, but I can fire again. This time with -2 acquisition. I need a 9 to hit. Oh, I rolled a 10. Got no hit that time. Didn't get anything on the Fanatic half squad and the hero here, but I did get a critical hit on these units um, in defensive final fire, not during the movement phase. So I was able to blast them in final fire with a critical hit. Okay, very simple example of multiple rate of fire with a light mortar against infantry units on a bridge in the open and including a critical hit. On to the next example. This example is from the scenario Merzenhausen Zoo, a very meaty scenario with a lot of AFVs and flamethrowers and bazookas and other toys. And it is the American movement phase. You can see the American player has prep fired this Sherman 76L, probably up at this stug in the woods here on overwatch for this large field. And he's about to start moving this other Sherman variant closer to the stug to try to get a later shot. Let's see what happens here. So he probably spent 1, he wasn't in motion, spent 1 to start, and then he's going to start moving. And the stug, I don't remember, we played this a couple years ago. The stug may be waiting to see what the Sherman does. Because I think he'd rather take out this 76L variant than take a shot at this moving 75 millimeter variant of the Sherman. I think the Stug player was waiting to see. I think I was a Stug player waiting to see what this Sherman does before taking a shot. That's why he didn't fire. That's why I didn't fire when he just spent one to start. I was going to see maybe if he was going to go over here where I had another stug, because I'd rather save my shot for this. But I'm probably getting nervous now because he's getting in close proximity. So he gets to there, and he must have stopped and taken a shot. Very kind of a long shot to get a hit after moving and stopping and firing at me in the woods there, the stug in the woods. But he did that. And at this point, I probably should have taken a shot, but I didn't. So he spent 1 to start again and starts moving. And at this point, I took a shot. I think probably because it's in 2 hex range, but that's only the 2 hex range case. Where is it here? Point blank. Yeah, if you're moving, if you're non-stopped, it doesn't apply. So I'm not sure why I didn't fire here. Again, I think I'm just waiting to see what it's going to do. But at this point, I'm getting nervous. I think I take a shot here at this point. Yeah, I took a shot there as he spent 1 to start and then 2 to move to this hex. So he spent a bunch of movement points in my line of sight. So case J1 and J2 here do not apply. Just case J applies. My stug is buttoned up, so buttoned up is +1. So +2 more for moving, so that's +3. And then -1 because the Sherman is a large size, so it's a +2 to hit. There's no TEM, there's no hindrances, there are no other modifiers that I can see off the top of my head. No acquisition, no bore sighting, etc. It's clearly a hit. I rolled a 4, and the Stug got rate of fire. The Stug has a rate of fire of 1, and he got rate of fire. So it got a hit. It got a hit on the turret. Turret front, it has no circle or square around the uh, front armor, so there's no modification for hitting in the turret. So the 2 kill number for a 75L firing armor piercing is 17. There's no range modifier. I'm at 2 hexes, so it's a straight 17. 17 minus 8, the front armor factor is a 9, if I'm good at math. And let's see what the 2 kill roll is. I roll an 8, that is less than 9, and that is a kill. Scott rolls for crew survival, and he rolls boxcars. The crew was eviscerated, unfortunately, for that crew. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fast forward because I have rate of fire. I think that was kind of one of the last things he moved. We're going to step forward to, and I'll probably fast forward this section to get there. So here we are in the defensive final fire phase, and the Stug, some other things have happened, but the Stug has rate of fire, so it decides to fire down at this 76L variant of the Sherman. I roll an 8 to hit. Um, I need at that range, 7 to 12, I need a 9 to hit. +1 for buttoned up, -1 for size. This is not a moving target, so those are my only modifiers, so they cancel each other. And I roll an 8, so I get a hit on this Sherman, and I hit it in the hull, and I roll the 2 kill. I put the acquired counter on it. I roll the 2 kill. I roll a 4. My 2 kill number was 17, if you recall. Armor of 11 this time. So 17 minus 11. There's no range modifier for 7 to 12. So 17 minus 11 is a 6. I roll a 5, and the Stug crew has performed valiantly and knocks out that Sherman as well. And Scott rolls crew survival, and I don't think that is enough. Yeah, so that's it. This Stug, you can see, has taken out. I remember this scenario now. This Stug was on a roll. It took out 1, 2, 3, 4. It took out 5 tanks trying to come up through this field. Yep, give those guys a medal. Okay, let's go on to the next example. Okay, here we have a case of a dueling light mortars. We have from the scenario, the Prelude to Dying, I believe it was. We have partisans up on this level 3 hill firing over at, I think it was Croatians on this hill across the valley. The line of sight is clear to these two. This unit's already broken, so the partisans are firing their mortar over on this other mortar crew in the woods on this level 2, and they are acquired at a -2. So it's a range of 6, yep, 6. So area target type using a mortar, we need a 7 to hit, -2 acquisition. There are no other die roll modifiers. There's no hindrances. Neither the crew is CX or pinned or anything like that. So basically, it's going to be a -2 for the acquisition. So in a sense, we need a 9 to hit. We need to roll a 9, no more than a 9, and we roll a 9. -2 for the acquisition. Final die roll is a 7, which is a hit on the area target type. Let's see what the infantry fire table looks like. 50 millimeter mortar is 6 firepower. Area firepower is halved, which is 3 firepower. Again, goes down to the 2 column. And there's going to be a -1 train effect modifier for the woods for the airburst effect for indirect fire, which is what a mortar uses. Basically lobbing them in, coming in from the top, going into the trees, exploding and showering shrapnel down on the unsuspecting or suspecting crew sitting in the woods there. Let's roll the resolution, see what we get. Ooh, roll a 2, a -1, a 1 final result on 2 firepower. 1 KIA landed right on top of them into the trees, blew them away. They are eliminated, and I believe, yeah, there's a subsequent, because there was a KIA, there's a subsequent die roll to see if the Any support weapons in the hex are also destroyed, and I rolled a 1, and that does indeed blow up the mortar as well. So there you go. You got a combination of um, area target type, a good hit, a kill on the crew, and um, a resulting random support weapon destruction, which you can look up in the rules. I don't recall what rule section it is, but random support weapon destruction is the actual section that you can look up. Okay, let's go to example number 5, 6, whatever's next. I'm losing track. Okay, this one is from the scenario, the drive for Tirzong, as you can see just above me. Japanese 1938. And what's going to happen here is the Chinese are going to get very unlucky, but what's going to happen is one of these light tanks is going to drive, I think it's this one here, is going to drive basically like this. And there's going to be an anti-tank gun that's hidden over here that is going to take a shot. So let's progress the log file. Yep, take the motion counter off. Remember, motion counters um, do not exist in the movement phase. They only exist outside the movement phase, because in the movement phase, there's no such thing as motion. You're either stopped or non-stopped. As soon as the movement phase starts, you remove motion counters. So this guy is starting to move. Yep, it's that guy, and he's coming around, I think, right here. I changed covered arc. Wonder if he knew I was going to change my covered arc. Probably not. Then he fires. So he reveals. He didn't necessarily need to reveal it, but you'll see in a minute here, he had to based on what he rolled. Now the chance of him hitting is next to nothing at this point. And I'll tell you why. Let's look at the modifiers. So the tank is moving. This anti-tank gun has no line of sight to this hex here, and he expended 2 movement points here. Remember, he moved into the hex for 1, then he changed his covered arc for another movement point. So he expended 2 movement points here in the line of sight of this anti-tank gun. But for the anti-tank gun to fire, he needs to change his covered arc. And anti-tank guns do not have a turret. So they're a non-turreted covered arc change. So that's +3 per hex spine change, but that's double because he's in a woods hex. So that's going to be a +6 covered arc change, +2 for me moving, and then additional +1. Let me pull up the chart here. An additional +1 for case J1 for having expended 1.5 to 3 in his line of sight. So for review, +6 for changing covered arc, +2 for moving, that's +8, plus another 1 for expending only 2 movement points in his line of sight. So 6, 8. It's going to be a +9 to hit. He probably needs at that range, I think he needs a 9 to hit. It's probably 7 to 12. Yeah, 7 to 12 range. The only way you get a hit is roll snake eyes and hope for an improbable hit and maybe a result. Let's see what he rolled here. Checks the range, yeah, range of 8, so 7 to 12. Oh, he rolled a 12. He rolled 9 plus. He rolled a 21, and he needed a 9 to hit. That's a miss. Not only that, he broke his gun as well, and I think he forgot to change his covered arc. Yeah, and the Japanese unit just keeps moving. That's the luck of the draw in ASL. Probably not the best use of taking a shot. Probably would have been better to wait for this. Maybe at the time when we played this, which was a couple years ago, I think, maybe we forgot to double the covered arc change, and there was a slim chance. There was basically no chance of getting a hit with the correct modifiers. Okay, so very unlucky Chinese circumstances here taking that shot. Let's go on to the next example. This might be the last example on the 2-hit, 2-kill process. Here we have the scenario Ancient Feud. Interesting scenario. Pits 2 Axis minor sides that are at each other's throats after alliances break down later in World War II. We have Hungarian versus Romanian, and what's going to happen here is there's this AT gun, Romanian anti-tank gun down here. Behind the hedge has a clear line of sight up the road, and what I'm going to try to do, I was the Hungarians, is squeeze some AFVs over to the other side of the road. He put this here to basically cut off much of the map from my AFVs moving around. I already managed to get this guy around. He came around like this. You can see the acquisition there. He took a shot, and he must have retained rate of fire because he's not marked with a first fire counter. But I'm going to try to do the same thing here. And it's a fairly low risk move, right? We're talking a range of, let me string that range out. We're at a range of 13 to that hex, 12 for this one. This is a little less risky because it's one more. If you look at the table, right, it's at the 13 to 18 range versus 7 to 12. But I don't want to go through the acquisition. Now, they would basically cancel each other out because this is a further range. It would be an extra 1 to hit versus here, and there's a -1 acquisition. I can go through either of the hexes and it'd be the same, basically the same to hit chance. But this guy's going to go basically like this to try to get around and squeak down this line of sight he has. And if I remember, it goes badly for me, even though it's a low risk shot, a low risk move for me, and a low chance shot for him. He missed the first attempt there, but got rate of fire. So here I am starting to move. He doesn't have line of sight here. He doesn't even see the tank until there. So this is where he takes the shot. So he's got one movement point in his line of sight. Let's look at the modifiers. There's no firer base. There's nothing in between us. There's no, again, no CX, no pin on these guys. It's a straight shot. There's target base, and that's it. There's no size modifier. All there is moving. So +2 for moving, and another +2 because I've only spent one movement point in his line of sight at this point, just as I enter that hex. So that's going to be cases J, J1, and J2. J1 and J2 is called limited aim, I think, restricted aim. Basically, if you take a quick snapshot at something and they don't spend a lot of time in your line of sight, there's additional modifiers that make it harder to hit. So it's going to be a +4 to hit at a range of 12. Which has a base of 9 to hit, and there's no range modifiers. So he needs to roll a 5 to hit. It's doable, but odds are in my favor that I should be able to squeak through. It's a side shot. I mean, if he hits me with a 75L, I mean, the armor on this thing is 6 and 4. It's going to be a 4 side shot. If he hits me in the turret, it's going to be even worse. I'll have a that has inferior turrets. So the armor would go down to the next, which would be 3 armor factor if you hit me in the turret side. So it's going to be even worse. So what I say, it needs a 5 to hit because it's a +4 modifier for basically moving. Taking a snapshot, and he rolls a 4. Gets a sniper check out of it, but he rolls a 4. So the 2 kill number on a 75L is 17. He hit me in the hull, so there's no inferior turret that comes in. So it's a side hull shot. I have an armor factor of 4. 17 minus 4. There's no range modifiers here for 2 kill. Is 17 minus 4 is 13. He needs to roll 13 to kill. And he is going to, because I remember this, he kills me 6. That's less than or equal to half of what's required. So that turns into another blazing wreck of my light tank Hungarian tin can there, taking a snapshot up this line of sight with Romanian anti-tank gun. Like I said, this will probably be my last example. No, I'm going to do one more. I'll dig up one more and we'll call that the last one. So let's move on to the final example. All right, last example for sure this time. Interesting example because this one involves no guns, no 2-hit process. I dug up this example from the scenario Tropic Lightning, which is Americans versus Japanese. And in this case, I have a flamethrower taking out a tank. And what we have here is, um, let me get rid of these. Let me just move these acquisition counters out of the way. So these Stuarts have been trying to. This is a dug-in Japanese light tank. It's dug, in a dug-in position here, and these Stuarts have been trying to take it out. Thus the acquisition counters. But all the Japanese firepower had been. It's just after the movement phase, so it's later in the advancing fire phase. And I was able to get this flamethrower in close because they exhausted all their fire. I was able to get a flamethrower in right adjacent to it. And as we all know, flamethrowers are not affected by firing in the advancing fire phase. They fire at full power during the advancing fire phase. Now, the process to get a kill on an AFV with a flamethrower is a little bit different. Um, there's no, you don't have to hit. You just have to roll. Let's see. Let me go to kill. It's under the yeah HE and flame to kill. And if you look over here to the right, there are these three that are kind of in pink on my charts here. Flamethrower, Molotov cocktail, and Molotov projector. And the pink says armor factor NA. Armor factor does not apply to a flamethrower, whether you're shooting it at a tank with one armor factor or you're shooting it at a King Tiger with 26 or whatever it has, or a Panther with 20 some armor factor. Doesn't matter. A flamethrower engulfs it in flames either way. And what you have to do, the armored basic 2 kill number is an 8. Okay. And if we look at the superscript 2 here, half if long range, +1 if crew exposed, and +2 if open top. In this case, it's neither. It's neither open top or crew exposed, but it is dug in. And you'll see here in a second what I roll. So I basically fire an advancing fire phase. I need to roll an 8 or less, and it's destroyed. And I rolled a 3. It goes up in flames because I needed an 8, and it's less than half, equal to or half of the 2 kill number of 8. So it goes up in a big blaze of smoke. Now it is dug in. Let me pause here briefly while I look up to see. I mean, the modifier for dug in is not going to be +5. I needed an 8. But I want to see if the dug in status affects the 2 kill roll for the flamethrower. So let me pause it here and I'll be right back. Okay, a quick check shows that a dug in AFV has no terrain itself. I mean, if it's in terrain, which this is not, it's in open ground. The only thing it has is a +1 size modifier, but there's no 2 hit process and armor factors don't count, so there would be no modifier to the 2 kill number of 8 of a flamethrower versus an armored target. So if you're able to get flamethrowers in close on targets, especially hard to kill targets like heavy tanks, that's a good way to go. But that's the trick, isn't it? Getting a flamethrower in close to almost anything is a difficult endeavor. Okay, that's it. What is that? Eight, nine examples. I lost track. That's going to be it for the 2 hit, 2 kill process, which is the meat of chapter C. The next video I'm going to do, which is tutorial, God, I can't remember, 29 or something. I'm going to do vehicular movement, not including bypass movement. That's a whole separate thing. I'm just going to talk about the basics of vehicular movement. And the reason I'm doing that is so now that you've got the fundamentals of the 2 hit and 2 kill process, I want to play an example scenario and get it fully annotated. That'll take some time to do each turn. But if I'm going to be moving things around, you need to understand how to be able to move vehicles while you're either shooting them or being shot at by the opposing player. Okay, so I'm going to do that next, and I'm going to go in a little bit of detail there on some of the things about vehicular movement that confuses people, which is what I call the states of movement. Um, you know, you are either in motion, or you're stopped, or you're non-stopped. And I'm going to explain what those actually mean and where they apply and how that affect you as the shooter and as the target. Okay, so we'll see you in the next boot camp. In again, whenever I get to it, I have so many videos to make, and I try to splice different ones in on different topics. It may be a few weeks before we see the vehicular movement one, maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know, but we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you.